This is a powerful video coming up. I want you to be sure and get it. We have had, I think, 6 others that are, these are really what I call a mini video. We're treasuring your time and keeping these to 12 to 15 minutes so you don't have to worry about a long drawn out thing, and we're trying to squeeze this information into a concise as we can, and later on down the road I'll do more diving into teaching. As most of you know, if you remember my initial introduction of where I've been and where I came from, I came from a home that would be considered in the scarcity class, a single mom who never earned more than minimum wage. And I came out of that environment. I pretty much learned economics and a lot of finance in that home. And my mother's simple way of taking care of the bills and stuff with envelopes and things, I can still see it to this day, because I would walk through the room she did that on. And but out of that, I knew that I wanted to do better, and it built a drive in me to do that very thing. And there's some reasons why that happened, and reasons why that will affect you in the same way if you will listen today and listen to all of this series on the matrix of money that we are teaching you. Today we're going to talk about tax deferral and about tax-free, and about a column that is taxed now every year, which the bulk of Americans live in. They put their money in the bank, it's put in savings accounts, it's put in CDs, it may be sitting in a money market, even in brokerage accounts where the money is sitting in money markets. It's getting chewed up by taxes. And so tax now is the place that I avoided, or tried to, and was pretty good at it. And it's the place that I want you to get out of if you are a follower of this channel and follower of this teaching. It's very, very important, and I'm going to show you in numbers today why it's important in your financial future. We're going to compare the different choices that you have on my graph sheet here and run them through this model of tax deferral, tax-free, or tax now. And so I hope you can identify with these things and become aware of how they flow through this. In fact, tax deferral and tax-free, I'll go ahead and simplify for you. There's only 2 yeses on this comparison, and one is a 401k and an IRA are tax-deferred vehicles. They grow and compound without annual taxation, and so they're probably the most common held retirement type vehicles or savings plans in this country. I would think it'd be probably a substantial difference, or well, I don't know. There's a lot more coming over to the side that I got into early on at 23, and that's what I call the INS bank. Some people call it infinite banking. I preceded infinite banking. So I was doing this prior to that even. And so I call it the INS bank. Be an INS banker. Think like a banker in many of the things that you do. And then secondly, the INS bank is a yes, and so is the 401k, and finally the annuity vehicle is tax deferred. So the annuity is tax deferred. But none of the others have tax deferment. And then the second category that's very important to you, tax deferred means that you're going to get taxed at the end of the line on the bulk or the total amount of monies that have been accumulated, saved, compounded, earned some kind of a yield on it. Then you get taxed on that at the rear end. I can even make a case for you that when that happens, if you're in a rather higher tax bracket or a bit higher tax bracket, that tax deferral can be your enemy in that you could pay back more in taxation, far more than you got deductions on the front end as you went, because it could double, triple, or quadruple in growth, and you have to pay tax on all of that money as it comes out. That is the reason, my understanding is, when I've looked at the stats, that more people die with these than actually take out retirement income because of the pinch of taxation, the forced, even at certain ages, to come out with minimum distributions. These are, if the people can avoid it and have other income to live off of, they just leave it alone and do not use it, and they die with it. And of course, the heirs have to pay tax on it at the next, at their next life. Maybe you're right in the heart of their earnings, where their tax bracket is maybe even higher. So you have to be mindful. But you can check around and even Google that. But you'll find that a big percentage of the people literally never access the 401k or the IRA, or they do so minimally in that basis. So the other account here's brokerage accounts. They do not qualify. The earnings, the money markets, and so forth, they're taxed as you go, year to year. So they're a no in that category. And the next on my spreadsheet here is your home. It's not tax deferred. We do have currently under the law the homestead exemption. If you sell the house up to $500,000, you can keep that money as a husband and wife, $250 for a single person in your home. It's a good tax advantage to take advantage of it. If you can get your spouse to sell out and move to another house, you can do this every 2 years. So from a planning standpoint, it's a good thing. It just doesn't happen real often. Very few have a habit of moving like that, but it's still good advice. Let's see, you got the savings and loans, banks and CDs. They're not tax deferred, they're not tax free, they're taxed as you go. So all the money, and tons of money, sits in these vehicles, CDs and savings account, and they pay, and so their net yield after tax is reduced. It's not much anyway, but it's reduced significantly, and you'll see some of that that we're going to get to in terms of illustrating the numbers here in this example. Annuities are tax deferred. They're not tax free, but they're tax deferred. Just like a 401k is. Usually they may be tax deductible, used as that vehicle, or may not be tax deductible, just after tax savings, but they are tax deferred in their growth. Real estate tax deferred. Well, it's in the no category, but real estate, you pay tax when you sell it, trade it, and so you do pay tax on it, and you do pay it whenever you sell it. But until then, you don't pay tax on it. The appreciation and stuff piles up, and then you pay tax on whatever gain you have. Tax-free, it's definitely not tax-free. We know that. There is some things, a code in the law called 1031. If you follow the rigid rules of 1031, you can trade and defer that real estate to a later date, and but you still ultimately pay income tax on it, either at death or during your now at death. You could have as a possible planning technique there that you could defer on a stepped up basis with your real estate. I'm a big real estate guy. I minored in real estate in college. I majored in insurance and finance. So both of those have been in my life since I was 23 years old, and have largely directed me down the path that I've gone. Both of these over in the tax deferred category and tax free, the INS Bank is both of these. It's tax deferred in growth. It is tax free in loans. Money is borrowed out on a tax free basis, just like you do if you go to the bank and borrow money. You don't get taxed on that loan. The same is the case with the INS Bank. And today you've got better rates in the INS Bank at 4.5% and 5%, two of the big companies that we use most often. So they're a little below the 7.5% marketplace on mortgages and loans. I want to show you the example here in numbers. Got an example in one of my banking books that used the same example, same money in, ran it through the taxation and the taxation column. That example generated $48,196.86 in 30 years. The same example, but tax deferred and not getting cut up every year by taxes in a 401k, an IRA type vehicle, generated, and an annuity would be the same here, annuity, $3,758,096. So $48,000 versus $3.7 million. Now the tax never category, we have our tax free is the INS Bank. And that example, in the same example, would be worth $5.3 million, $1.5 million more than the 401k example, just purely by taxing it. Nothing else, taking taxes out of it. And so you can see the spread and why many wealthy people put large amounts of money in the INS Bank plans that are personally designed for them and for you and for me, was for me when I was 23 years old, and utilized in the best way according to the tax code pertaining to it. You can see the examples in real numbers. I hope that I've laid this out simple enough for you to see that these are two big items, tax deferral, tax free, and then of course whether you just go down the road letting them tax everything every year. You sometimes may not realize how much it's grinding up your savings and your future retirement and your future way to get out of the pit and become an accredited investor, which is our goal for you. To become an accredited investor, we want to show you how to do that, and we'll show you in a 10 to 12 year period of time if you follow what I have done and recommend that you do. So thank you for your time. Please like and subscribe to our video today and be part of the channel. We've got a lot more for you to come.